Alrighty.
All right, I'm doing my presentation on Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, and right now I'm going to give you a little more information about the game. It was published by 505 Games, and then it was developed by Starbreeze Studios. Starbreeze Studios made games like Chronicles of Riddick series. They also made Payday series and The Darkness. They did this game in UDK. It is from one player. Got a T rating, and you can get it on Xbox Live Arcade, PlayStation Network, and Steam. It's a top-down puzzle action adventure game, which is kind of a weird description also, but
Yeah.
I'll talk about what Brothers does right. What Brothers does right, it tells a dynamic story. It uses a unique control system. It has an amazing level layout for the story that it tells, and it's a lot of fun. Now, I'm going to tell you a little about the control system. It's pretty unique. I've never played anything like it before. You're controlling two characters at the same time. They're both brothers. On the left stick, you have the older brother, and you can move him around and use the left trigger to make him interact. On the right stick is the younger brother, and the right trigger to interact. And those are the only two buttons that you use. While the two bumpers on the Xbox controller are used to move the camera about the level. I want to talk a little bit about the storytelling and exactly how it made such a great game experience for me. First off, it connects the characters with the player hugely. In the first scene of the game, that's not going to ruin anything for anybody, is it?
Nah.
Is that going too far into the game already? Well, the first scene is the little brother is out in a boat with his mother, and there's a storm going on. The mother falls out, and you're trying to save her, but you can't, and she drowns in the sea. So, as you start up the game, he's in the main screen. He's kneeling down in his mother's grave. And this music is playing in the background the whole time. So it's pretty depressing, but you know a little bit how the first character that you meet is feeling. And then it proceeds to tell the story of your quest and how your father is sick and you and your brother have to go find this tree to save him and make your way there and back. Also, the use of body language over words is the main way they express emotion and your mission. They talk like the Sims with a kind of language, but everything is in body language. So you've just completed this little mission. The little brother's just dragging his arms, like he can't go on any farther, but the older brother just drags him on, like we have to do this, And he goes, okay, and just keeps moving, keeps going through, and you connect a lot more with the characters. Then they're on this journey. You've made it this far with them, but you just got to keep pushing.
What do you think the advantages are for that, like, sim style of speech?
Uh, it it takes away from background stories and relies solely on the emotions of the characters at this point of time and how your mission affects them, how uh, how much this means to them, just by how they look and how they act. Actions do speak louder than words in that sense too. It really doesn't take away anything. You don't know too much, and you're always surprised at what's going to happen next. Another way the storytelling plays a great role is the non-playable characters. There's always, you go to these little villages and there's always either objects or characters sitting around there, they don't say anything. They'll like recognize you and move their arms or something as you walk by. But if you press one of the triggers with either one of your characters, they'll do something interesting with that character or object. So if I'm going up to this old lady with a broom and I'm using the older brother to interact, he will offer to help and start sweeping for her. If I do it with the little brother, he'll pick up the broom and start spinning around and do a little trick. I mean, you really get the personality more of the characters on through these little just non-playable character interactions. The fantastical world that you're in is quite amazing. It's very strange at first. You think you're in a normal like Shire type place. Just everything's kind of back in the day, kind of simple. And as you move on, things get more and more impressive, more and more ridiculous, and it all comes together into this amazing world. And you can tell they tell their story so well by moving through these different environments and showing off these amazing new characters that you may not have thought of in this sense. And the scenery it's beautiful. Throughout the world, there are benches sitting down, and you can go on there and sit down with one of the characters. But if you sit down with both, it's a little more meaningful, and it like gives you a great view of the great expanse that you've just gone past. So the gameplay. Again, I just talked about the unique control system that connects the characters. There's a variety of puzzles, and I'll show a little bit more about those. But in the beginning, it's mostly one character picks up the heavy stuff, the other character does the more sneaking around stuff. As you go on throughout the game, though, they work more together and as one. I'll show that in a little bit. And then every action relates to the story and connects the characters to you. As I'll show in this video, the director of the game explains it very well, but I'll say it anyways. As you saw in the first scene, the little brother sees the mother drown, and he's devastated by that. And one of the first parts that happens is you reach this water that you have to walk across, and the younger brother refuses to go in the water because he's so terrified. And you connect, you get a sense of why, why, you get a sense of who he is, and you start feeling more for that character. So the bigger brother steps in there and allows him to get on his back, so you can both travel across. It's hand in hand, both working together and getting a sense of growing up throughout the game. And now I'm going to talk about what Brothers does wrong. It uses a unique control system. Even though that is also a point that I made, that it's something it did right, it's also something that can't get people to play it as well. It's not as intuitive. It's kind of odd controlling two different people at once. You can get lost. In the first half hour of playing the game, I forgot who I was controlling at the time, and I would get confused. It had an invisible snow monster. There's this, you get to this like snow level, and it's just this town just covered in snow, and outside there's just a bunch of snow soldiers. And as you walk in, you hear these sounds, and you see these giant footsteps on the ground, like there's a giant monster coming. And I thought it was a glitch with my game that this giant snow monster wasn't appearing. But I just kept playing because I'm like, whatever, it's fine, I'll just see it later on something, I'll check it out. And as I started searching for it, he was actually invisible, and there was nothing wrong with my game. But I thought I had a glitch in my game, and he wasn't supposed to be there. And the last thing, it made me cry. It made me feel really bad, and it was heart-wrenching at the end.
Made you feel bad?
Yeah.
Like, do you regret
I was
playing
no, I was super sad that the game did what it did.
That's a good thing, though.
it? Was
Sort of, yeah.
Maybe you don't want to deal with it, but
They probably told me about
I was just so much of,
it.
but I wanted it to not do that.
yeah.
And I guess that is also a good thing, but I didn't expect that to happen. So that's what I say they did wrong. And that's it for these slides right now, but I'm gonna throw on this video real quick. Uh-oh.
Time to feast your eyes.
Oh, and all the music is pretty depressing most of the time.
Oh.
It gets a little more upbeat at points, but it is a sad story.
So that makes sense.
We're gonna talk to, this is the director giving an interview. He was also a Swedish filmmaker.
Tell us a bit more about the game.
Well, the game is a novel title and it's a single player experience. You control two players at the same time. It's kind of a journey experience where you are on a journey to save.
This is one of the interacting things that you can do with some of the non-playable characters.
And the game is
I
set
didn't
realize it was
3D like this.
Yeah, he's doing this on the same time.
And hopefully the player will feel some kind of emotional connection. But the most
Here's one of the
important
benches
part
that I
is feel
talked about.
this hand is big brother and this hand is little brother. That's very important for us. I got this opportunity from a guy I know at the school with a couple of students.
And this is a very short video. It's only
would you like
another
to do
minute or
something?
so.
I was like, wow, that's great. It's a dream come true. Then I actually came up with the idea of Brothers, and then I came to Starbreeze. This is like a passion project for me. I dream, I live, I breathe this game. It's really something I truly believe in.
Another interactive thing that you can do.
For me, it's all about the interactiveness. That's what I like with video games. So in Brothers, it's all about, keeping the player in control all the time, because you can create these unique game mechanics which feels new and fresh. And in a film, you have a character that starts somewhere and grows something, and evolves. So Brothers will have the same thing, but it's an interactive experience. I can't go into detail what exactly without, we're spoiling anything, but I'm quite sure that people will react to it.
Okay, and as a hardcore gamer, were there any particular games on PlayStation which have inspired it?
Are you kidding me? I mean, yeah, that is definitely say that Naughty Dog is one of, if not the studio I admire the most. I mean, I love many of their games, but Uncharted 2 especially. I mean, it's a great game, and that's, you could say, and not only for Brother, I think many games out there have been inspired from these guys. I think they're absolutely fantastic.
Just to really sum up, so what are the main things that people look out for when they actually go to Brothers on PlayStation?
They're gonna get a very unique, different experience, a 3 to 4 hour game, which is an experience they've never played before. And hopefully they will sit in one single play this game, because that's when you get the most effects out of it. Some people react like what I think about the length of the game. I don't care if the game is short or long. For me, it's the experience. All the games has to be as long as they need to be. Not too long or not too short. We don't even have to talk about time. The importance is what kind of game is it. So it's definitely going to be a different experience, and I'm really quite sure that people's going to enjoy it.
That was it.
Oh, that looks
And
good.
he is also a Swedish filmmaker that's he's won some awards in the past for films that he's made. So he does a great job telling his story in an interactive level in this game. I have some pictures here now that I'm gonna go through. Okay, maybe not.
Yeah, it's weird. It's, on his screen, it looks like a PowerPoint, but on the projector, it looks like a background.
Okay. So this is the main menu. This is there's no words on the side, but there will be if you are in game. But it is pretty sad looking right off the bat. Good little look at one of the first parts. Nice little village. You winding down a path, and you're always on your goal. You can go a little bit backwards, but not too much. As you progress on, you can't make your way back as much. But it's always pushing you straight forward, and you're on this goal to save your father anyway, so you want to keep moving. So it gives you that sense that this quest means a lot. That even though you are on this kind of rigid path almost, the goal is the main reason. You don't have any other reason to slow down and look around too much.
Can you go back to the title screen for a second?
Yeah.
What's the like yellowish swirl in the background? Like a cloud?
I think it's supposed to be like the sun
Oh.
reflecting off the water. It looks a little
Okay.
better here.
Yeah, it looks a lot better on your screen.
It looks kind of goofy here, but
So why do you think they did this specific layout? Like, is there stuff you can say without spoil?
I think they
Spoilery.
did this because the first cutscene leads directly to this. This opens up the game right after the little first cutscene. This is where you start off. So this is your beginning. This is the main screen then, because this is the beginning. As soon as you can play, he gets up off his knees and you start walking from there.
Why do you think they would pick like this angle though, and like
This angle,
zoomed out this much and had the character off center and all that kind of stuff?
it plays very well with the menu options. All the menu options are on this side of the screen then. So that leaves you the focal point of what you want to do and gives you a good vision of what is going on in the game.
Huh.
That's how I took it. And I thought they did a good job with that. It did kind of throw me off when I first saw it, but as I started playing the game, it made more and more sense to me without unfeeling anything. That this was a good choice for the first main screen. We already talked about that one a little bit. This gives a little more better look at the fantastical part of the world. This is a troll. He's the first fantastical part of the game that you meet. You're super intimidated by him at first. He's like bent over and looks very sad when you first meet him, and he turns around and the big brother starts guarding the little brother, and then after a little bit, the little brother just runs around by him, just starts waving at him, and he helps you out for a good part of the game. The troll, say if you're by a big ledge, he comes over and he throws you over the other side, or uses himself as a bridge, which I'll show in a little bit.
The idea, just to stop for a second, the idea with the troll, you said this was like the first kind of strange, fantastical thing that you come across. That's, generally speaking, one of those rules of writing that's a good trait. You don't want to have too much weirdness up front. Like usually if you're talking about story, setting, or characters, you want to try to keep at least two of those normal up front. And then, if we have a weird story idea, we can slowly transition it from there. But here it's like, it seems like they followed that through, right? Like they started introducing weird, once the idea is to get the reader grounded in reality, something they can understand and that makes sense to them, and then slowly introduce the stuff that's
And introducing the weird it gets even weirder as you go on. But with him being the first character, you feel more for the world than he's more earthy. He's got an earthy feel, and he's sad. Yeah, he's sad at this time. You don't know exactly why. You get a little more of an idea once you see where he's at and what's kind of going on. But again, there's no words to be said, so you kind of take everything with just some idea. You come up with your own story half the time when you're playing through it. And then as you play on, the story falls together. And it may meet what you thought it was, or in the end, what I was thinking the whole time kind of played together or threw me for a spin. And I was very surprised, and gladly surprised most of the time.
Oh.
Except sometimes I was sad. But yeah, introducing him as the first fantastical character was a great idea, with him being so approachable and so helpful at the same time. So it doesn't keep you super afraid of what's going to come next. Here's a good look at the landscape. They did a great job with scenery. It's beautiful up close and everything, but the scenery that you can look around at is just so beautiful and ridiculous most of the time. It just seems so much bigger than you can ever think they could create. I thought they did an amazing job with that. And here's your troll buddy again.
Ah, cool.
And you're walking across him. He uses himself as a bridge.
Is he hanging or standing on those rocks?
I think he's standing on those rocks.
Okay.
Looks like he clipped into one a little bit, but. And then, as I talked about your mother, a little later in the game, some things happen, and you see your mother as a giant, and it gets the story a lot more in touch with the characters. This is one of the main points where the two brothers come together, and your mission as a whole makes you feel like a family. It makes you feel like the two brothers can work together a lot better. But yeah, she freaked me out at first. Here's a good look at some of the cavernous areas. This is one of the last times you're with the troll, as he got you this far. Here is the snow kind of area, and this is another one. You travel all these ways, and you do so much different things with these characters. So right now they're paddling a boat. You're walking most of the time, but you pedal a boat. You fly hang gliders type thing. You do a lot of cool stuff with them, and it doesn't keep it as boring as it would be if you're just traveling on foot the whole time.
Yeah. This looks really good.
And what's actually really cool with this too is using the two sticks throughout. So it's just like rowing in real life. So you have to switch sides if you're doing it by yourself. In this, you would move the left stick to move the left side, and you would turn if you hold it and not hold this side. So it really helps with those mechanics and plays with the controller to its advantage. This is one of my favorite parts. You come up to these barbarian-looking people that look like they're gonna murder this innocent girl, and as a team, the two brothers decide they have to help her. So they become blood gods. They go underneath these blood waterfalls, get covered in blood, and then you go on top of your older brother's shoulders. All right, and you walk up on them like you're a god, and you scare them all. And it's really, it's a great scene as you're walking up to the barbarians. It makes you feel so much cooler in that sense.
Would you say some of those puzzles are tough, or are they not really meant to be as challenging?
Some of them, I don't think they were very tough in that sense, but they make you think a little bit. I guess the best way to say how the puzzles are done is cinematically and dramatically. You move on throughout the game, and as you're doing these puzzles, you get more connected with the characters. So it's not so much of a sense as that you have to solve these things. It's that you have to get them to work together a little better, and you have to get more in touch with the story and with each character that you're playing as.
Brain teasy almost.
Yeah, a little bit. Here's a great example of one of the puzzles. Right now they're just climbing up, but they have this rope tied onto them. At one point, you have to grab onto a point, and the other brother can't get on there because you can't hold on to the same thing at the same time, obviously. So he swings around to get to the farther point, and then you just keep swinging back and forth. switching off with the triggers to hold on. It's a lot of fun. That was the hardest part for me, I think, was remembering who's supposed to hold on, which character I'm controlling.
I think that'd be heavy, like holding on to something while someone swings.
Yeah,
Hits you.
it would take a lot of force on you, and that's why I was pretty surprised with how the little brother held up while the older brother's weight was trying to take him down. And this is one of the most beautiful parts of it. There's like a little aurora borealis type thing going on as you're following your newly met friend that you just saved from the crazy blood barbarian dudes. She is a love interest for a little bit with the oldest brother, and it really ties the game together and kind of gives the little brother a little out, and later on in the game it brings them closer together. I don't want to ruin anything, but
I know
I didn't ruin anything in that
it.
part.
But you know what? I already know what's gonna happen.
What?
Well, I mean, there's total traitor.
Her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
No.
She's a spider.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's awesome. Sorry. All
Oh,
right,
very
and with all these things going on, it brings these brothers closer together, and they attach themselves to each other and you within this game. As you're playing through these things, the challenges that come up bring them closer together, and also connect you with who they are. And I don't want to ruin the end, so I'm going to read what Game Informer wrote about them, one of the moments, or without giving it away. So it's called, they call the moment Hidden Strength in Game Informer, and it says, the big brother does most of the heavy lifting throughout the game, with his younger sibling looking to him as protection. However, in an inspiring moment late in the game, the little brother discovers that he is capable of more than he or other players ever expected. The one scene in the game is the most emotion I've ever felt during a game scene. It's a playable part of the section. It's not just a cutscene. It's a little dragged on, but it's dragged on to the point where it really hits you emotionally. So it doesn't hurt the game in that sense. It felt a little slow to me, but I was like, I'm still doing this. But also at the same time, I was like, but this makes me feel a lot more than I would if I just did it for a minute or two instead of maybe 3 minutes.
Oh.
So it was the most emotionally attached scene I've ever played through in a game. And I hope you guys all play that. I highly suggest playing this game. It's a lot of fun. One thing that I also should have put on here that they did wrong is Tyler actually made me think about it, because he said he wasn't too into the game. And I started thinking back of when I started the game. And the beginning, maybe the first 45 minutes or so was pretty dry, pretty boring. You don't get as attached to the characters. And then a few things happen, and they get a lot more emotionally attached to themselves, and you get a lot emotionally attached to them. And it makes the game so much better. And after that, everything gets ridiculous. There's giants that have died in a war, and they're just humongous and laying in blood all over the place that you have to move around. There's a griffin owl in there, and crazy scientist guys. There's also little side missions that they never tell you about. You just kind of have to find and do yourself. That's how you get all the achievements in the game too. So I'm going to go back through and try to find them. I did a few of them, just not knowing, I felt like interacting with something, and it was really cool, and it gives you a little side story to the whole game. And that's it. And I suggest you guys try to play it at some point. Does anybody have any questions? Comments?
Who else has played it? You're in the middle of it? You haven't played it?
No, I was it was on Steam sale for the winter sale for such a long time, and even after it had like a daily deal or whatever, and I was always on edge of getting it or not. But
How much was it when I was on sale?
I can't remember. I think the stock price is like $20 or something,
I got it for $12 on Xbox Live Arcade.
and
That's
then
pretty cheap.
like I think $20 or like $15 or something, and then the sale made it half.
Okay.
I'm like,
Totally unrelated, but related to sales. There's an indie developer, Jason Rohrer. He said he wants to do a new thing where when he first releases a game, it's half off, and then it'll move to 25% off, and then be full price for the rest of its life, as opposed to the way it is. Just to so more people play the game when it's first released, and there's like more community
Instead
to
of
talk
waiting.
about it.
Yeah.
Instead of everybody like waiting on a game like this to go on sale.
That's a huge selling point right there. Like, get it now, or just buy it later. But then you have to pay a lot more. Another thing with that for PC is the bad thing is it's optimized for a controller. So it's meant to play with a controller even on a computer.
Okay.
But if you don't have it, it might take a little bit away from the experience. You can't?
no, you need to go
Yeah.
Like,
So that's-
you can go like lost and the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, technically, it's possible, but yeah, it may not
It
work.
would take a lot out of the experience, even if you could somehow do it keyboard and mouse.
By the end of the game, did you feel pretty comfortable with the controls, or did it still feel
Yeah,
awkward?
I felt a lot more comfortable. Again, it took me a good half hour to really figure out what I wanted to do with each character and how to move them in sync or at certain times.
Okay. I want to try it.
There's always a point where you forget which one you're controlling. I figured that would happen. It doesn't take too much away from my experience though. It didn't hurt it. It just made me put the controller down for a second, take a breath, almost to get back into it. I needed a little break, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I do suggest one sitting though, like he said. It is 3 or 4 hours, but the one sitting gets the whole story together and doesn't break it up at all, and it really keeps the emotions played into the game.
I'll definitely do that. Any other thoughts, Tyler? No? All right, thank you, man.
I just want to tell somebody about. I
More
want to talk
people
to
need
them
to play
about
it.
one of it. Yeah. Yeah, I found a few people that have played it, but they haven't finished it. So.
Oh,
Is
it's like they
anyone
did.
having
Huh? No.
All right, so any last questions? No. All right, then see you Wednesday, I think. Last class.
You want me to send you the PowerPoints? Or
What's that?
should I send you the PowerPoints?
Yeah, that's all you need to do. You can just send me that, and that's everything. I
Okay.
need.
On Whiteboard or.
On Blackboard, yeah.
Okay.
So there's the retail presentation
Okay.
assignment. Just choose that one and submit for that.
Okay. Dude.
Thank you. That was really good.